Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Friday live stream. This is going to be kind of a short one. What I want to talk about today is a couple of things that was said by Michael Saylor at his event called Bitcoin for Corporations. And they've done this before, and they've actually invited a lot of different entities and people and corporations into their ecosphere just to talk about how they can put Bitcoin on their balance sheet. I got to tell you, it looks like a great event, and it will actually push the agenda and the narrative forward, which is getting people into Bitcoin. There's a whole host of people, mostly talking by the keynote speaker, which would be Michael Saylor. But they've had a lot of success with these, and I like to see that these things actually go on and continue to go on. And there was a couple of sessions that I was perusing and was brought to my attention. And there was two things that he said which really had me step back on Michael Saylor and what he talked about. So what I'm going to play these two pieces, and we'll go over them real quick. One is actually really good. It's extremely positive, and I like to hear these things, especially as we move forward, because the Bitcoin ETF wasn't the actual stoppage of and the cycle high. I think we got a long way to go. So just take a listen to this. This is about it's about a minute and a half or so, and he's actually joined here by the CEO of MicroStrategy. I believe his name is, let's see, John Chao? No. Feng Li, totally off. And the question is when is everything going to come into Bitcoin and into the ecosystem? So just take a listen to this.
When do we start seeing more? When do we start seeing the companies start to adopt?
I think you get a parade of endorsements. You're going to start getting 13F filings here in May, and you're going to see, a parade of famous investors and famous funds that started biting off a bit of Bitcoin, and that's going to change things. I think you're going to see more and more securities issuances, more ETFs. Then you're going to see more derivatives. You're going to see more public companies. I think you're going to see more Bitcoin miners. They're going to be announcing that they're not just mining Bitcoin, they're buying Bitcoin. I think you're going to see more good news coming from the clients of Square, right? And small, mid-sized businesses. You're going to see more of them. I think you're going to see more of the exchanges announcing that they're taking some systemic view. I think it'll be just bit by bit, every quarter, one more normalizing, program that builds Bitcoin into the capital structure of a private, a public company, a fund. You're going to see, I think over the next 4 quarters, you'll see announcements from the big banks that they've approved Bitcoin ETFs for unsolicited sale, and it'll be one a quarter, and then the next one, then the next one, then the next one, and then you'll see announcements that is marginable, and then you'll see, like you saw last week, a dozen.
All right, so now we're getting into speculation. So when I hear these things, I'm like, oh, this is great. I like to hear positive news, especially about an asset that I own, especially for the bags that I have packed for quite some time. So when I hear about these things, and I'm like, great, that could be the next evolution of what's actually happening. Now, is this going to definitely take place? Well, it's anybody's guess. But I think Michael Saylor might have some keen insight into that. And that's good. We'd like to hear these things. Now let's come over here and talk about one more thing that he said, which I have to tell you was quite concerning. And moving forward, and when we talk about this, just remember that nobody gets everything right. Nobody is infallible. Nobody is perfect. It just isn't like that. And we're going to go over a couple of things about why he said it and why, of course, Michael Saylor is so bullish on Bitcoin, besides the obvious reasons. And then just what's going on behind the scenes as far as with legislation and as far as Bitcoin maximalism moving forward. So just take a listen to this. This is about 45 seconds. Also at the same conference.
Going to be approved. And when Ethereum is not going to be approved, sometime this summer, it'll be very clear to everyone that Ethereum is deemed a crypto asset security, not a commodity. After that, you're going to see that Ethereum, BNB, Solana, Ripple, Cardano, everything down the stack is just a crypto asset security unregistered. None of them will ever be wrapped by a spot ETF. None of them will be accepted by Wall Street. None of them will be accepted by mainstream institutional investors as crypto assets. This is the one universal consensus accepted institutional grade crypto asset in the world. There won't be another one to be.
Great. So that's it. So I don't think this may come as a shock to you if you're new to the space. Michael Saylor is not a big fan of altcoins, and he has his reasonings. And of course, I think Gary Gensler actually shares the sentiment as far as what actually are securities and what are not securities. And when he talks about that, these ETFs will never be approved. Yes, there are futures ETFs that have already been approved in different countries. We understand all these things, but he's talking about here, Wall Street in America. He doesn't believe it's actually going to come through. Again, nobody really can get it all correct. Nobody can predict the future. We'll just say that. But the question I always have about not just Saylor, but about a lot of different people that are in the space is just like, what are their motivations behind everything? And if we take a look at it, it's just, you have to define, first of all, who you are as an investor. Are you Bitcoin diamond hands? That's great. 70 to 75% of my portfolio is Bitcoin. Or are you a Jim Cramer who just sells all day long? It just depends on what you are and what you believe in. And if you believe in Bitcoin or maybe even other altcoins. Crazy to think. But I don't like this stance. And you're welcome to talk about this in the Q&A or load this up in the comments section. But the stance of always have diamond hands, never sell this or that. And if you're selling this and that could be Bitcoin or any altcoin or any type of commodity or any type of asset, you're going against whatever your investment principles are. I just don't believe that. I just don't see how people say, well, never sell your Bitcoin. Well, okay. Well, it depends on where you're at. Are you in El Salvador? Are you a day-to-day hourly worker? Are you making above $20 per day? Have you paid off all your massive debt? And is the interest rate crushing you? Do you actually live someplace? Are you homeless? Do you live in an apartment? Do you have a house? Do you own more assets? And it's these types of things that I think that we should really talk about. And when I hear these things coming out of a Michael Saylor or somebody else, you will never sell your Bitcoin. That is for you, not me. I'm saying for me, it's different than you. And it's just something that kind of unnerves me. But the question is, then why is that? Why is Michael Saylor like that? Well, he obviously believes in Bitcoin. He loves it, right? I love Bitcoin too. I don't see the problem with it. But you have to understand there's a big difference between you and Michael Saylor. And this is MicroStrategy, their first time that they purchased Bitcoin. This is their stock. And right after August 7, 2020, roughly around this time, they're coming for me. You can see that their stock price did immaculate, fantastic. And we take a look at, when in doubt, zoom out and take a look at the MicroStrategy stock history. Did fantastic in the dot-com era in 2020, 2021. But what do you see from 2001, 2002, all the way to the time they bought Bitcoin? Kind of flat. I'm not saying they had good years or bad years. I'm just saying not the kind of price action as it was before. So it makes a lot of sense. And the question is, well, why does it behoove Michael Saylor to do that? Well, it's great for his company, right? It's a proxy for Bitcoin. He shows other corporations how to do it. And also that increases the stock price and he has the ability to sell those stocks. So when we take a look at it and go, well, why is that good for me? No, I don't think that is for me, it's not like I'm going to hold on to all my Bitcoin forever. I'll hold on I'm going to sell probably 80%, but I'm not going to be sitting on Bitcoin forever and ever and ever and not take profits along the way. And that's just it. That's just me. What works for me. Now for you, it's totally different. And that's why I kind of bring this to the attention of these things. And again, nobody gets it right 100% of the time. Michael Saylor has been dollar cost averaging, doing pretty well. I think he could have sold some and bought back in when it hit 20,000 or when it tops out at 60. But that's a trader's mentality, and I understand where he's coming from. But think of it this way: this was a post on July 3rd, 2023, where Saylor talks about Ordinals. If you don't know what Ordinals are, they're essentially NFTs on the Bitcoin blockchain. A lot of Bitcoin maximalists absolutely hate them. I understand why, because it causes congestion, it causes the price to go up. And we saw that actually the day after the Bitcoin halving. On April 20th, 2024, we saw it go to the roof because it was because of that, and also because of runes, which are essentially tokens or meme coins built on Bitcoin. And he said back then, like, this is a stupid idea. Ordinals are dumb. Now, he did say, you know, we shouldn't be the ones to say that don't do this or do this or ban this or not, because that's not the whole point of Bitcoin, but because it's just a dumb idea. And of course, we just saw yesterday that they unveiled a plan. I think it was called MicroStrategy Orange. It's a Bitcoin-based DID, decentralized ID, and they use ordinals. So again, when I talk about these things, I just would like to kind of dig deep into this and talk about it, and just say that I think that for everybody's investment strategy could definitely be different. And the last thing I will say is this, is that I think there's some undertones, some dirty plays going on. And I don't know if everybody remembers this. This is from Charles Hoskinson. This was roughly a year ago when he went to go speak before Congress and a different committee. And what he says here, I had forgotten, and it was actually brought to my attention again. So just take a listen to this. Let me stop this. Make sure that you can hear this part. And shout out to Savvy Finance. I linked this entire video in the description so you can check it out. Here's what he says.
I did discover that certain members of the Bitcoin community are actively telling lawmakers to write into legislation that everything but Bitcoin is a security, to write into legislation every attempt possible to delegitimize or outright ban proof-of-stake cryptocurrencies. This was extremely disappointing and disheartening. I like to believe that despite that we have political differences or technological differences or differing financial incentives, that we would fight these things in the marketplace of ideas, in the marketplace of users, and traditional competition.
Charles Hoskinson.
That's it. And, you know, it is one of those things. And lastly, before we get into the Q&A, I will just remind everybody that securities are not a death sentence. I dabble in securities myself. They're called stocks. It's not a big deal. The problem right now with having it labeled as a security is that that would fall under the SEC, and that would be under Gary Gensler. And unfortunately with Gary Gensler, for him to actually give you some kind of guidance, you have to go in there and talk to them about what you're doing with these securities, and they seem to give no clearance. And what they usually do is when you come in there and said, hey, like Coinbase did, like Kraken did, like Binance did, and said, hey, we'd like to understand just where you're at in this situation because we'd like to be in compliance. And what do they usually say? Come right in and talk to us. No problem. Here's your Wells notice, and we're not going to give you clarity, and we're just going to kind of let you twist in the wind. So that's what I had to talk about today. Now, if you want to stick around for a Q&A, we'll do that, but if you got to take off, take off. If you take off before that, just know that this will have of course, a live stream tomorrow. But hit the like on the way out, subscribe, all that great stuff. Now, if you want to stick around, we'll do a little Q&A, and we'll go from there. So let's see. Alex, yeah, this is right. Why is everyone so fixated on the security versus non-security argument? The whole world has been trading securities for decades. It's not like if something goes to security, then it goes to zero. This is exactly what I was talking about. And it's true. It's just that to get clarity and to get some type of the ability for Gary Gensler to kind of roll it out as to like, what do you want? Because it all has to come through to get these, to buy cryptos and digital assets. I mean, we can use a decentralized exchange, right? But at some point you have to transfer your fiat money into crypto in some way, shape, or form. So to do that, you need a centralized exchanges. There's other ways to do it. I know there's creative ways in like parts of Africa where they use gift certificates and transfer those into crypto. You have to physically go to locations and do that. But that's really how it is. And it's like, that's why they talk about Operation Choke Point 2.0, which is actually doing pretty well for these guys. That's it. That's where proof of stake should be indeed. Maybe so. I'm not a lawyer, so it's up to them to figure that out. Alex says, crypto markets are so scared of regulation because they all know that 90% of tokens are worthless. It's not about, I mean, regulation They can't regulate on if this has a use case or not. They just have to regulate if it's a security or not. And the Howey test and all that great stuff, I mean, we can talk about that, but it gets boring. And why do we even talk about the Howey test and if it's a security or not? It's not like we can do anything about it. Unfortunately, it will be decided in the courts. And that's why Consensus, or the Ethereum Foundation, is suing the SEC for labeling Ethereum as a security. Kat says, so does that mean you will start trading all the alts on the stock exchange? No, but I think if it really comes down to it, they do label things as securities, which, you know, was there not a case not too long ago with Ripple where they deemed that it wasn't a security? They deemed that XRP was not. But if they do, then it just really comes down to the centralized exchanges, and they're going to have to jump through a lot of hoops and pay a lot of fines. It's just like with Robinhood. You can't just start up a brokerage. You say, okay, well, time to start trading. Do whatever you want to. It has to go through the process. Chong says, Rob, Bitcoin is the only crypto asset without an issuer, hence a commodity-like asset. All those have issues. I would tell Buter and team for ETH. I'm not saying that's what it is. I'm not debating if this is a security or not a security. I'm just bringing things to people's attention about it. Rob, do you hold any mantra? I don't. The bull run usually probably do great, so we'll see. And yeah, separate agency for crypto will be pretty good. Yeah, because why? We have the SEC for traditional securities. We have the CFTC for commodities. We have the OCC, the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency. And crypto really doesn't fit into any of those. I know some people say, well, it's cryptocurrency. In the beginning, Bitcoin sure was. I mean, that's the whole point of the white paper and as it came out. But as time has gone on, the narrative has changed. I think we all know that. So yeah, I think it should have its own agency. But that has to be approved through Congress. And Congress seems to not move at all. But I mean, they can complain and they can talk about how the other side isn't helping. That doesn't really get anything done. Michael says, he's speaking a lot of rubbish, but which maximalists don't? XRP is already deemed not a security. Not the only rubbish I've heard. Yeah. I mean, if you believe in it, that's great. But I mean, me personally, I don't know which one's going to win. That's why I move things around. I just says, hey, Rob, could you please check the Into the Cryptoverse risk levels? Thank you. No, I can't check them every time. You know, you got to go over to his website, see what it's all about. Can't give you all that stuff for free, just some stuff. Let's see. Roy says, will this discourage the creation of new crypto? Probably not. There's no shortage of people creating some type of token out of thin air. The thing that it will do, though, is it will, as it's already been doing, it'll push the innovators from the United States to other parts of the world, which is already happening right now. So I'm not surprised as people start to flee the United States, because why would they stay here? Do you think the miners have bottomed? No, but there is a good indicator. Let's see. Look into bitcoin.com, great website. Take a look at this. Let's see. So under charts, it has it all kind of broken down. Like on-chain market indicators, market cycles. These are my favorite. But you can take a look at the mining section and just kind of see where things are going. I like to see this one, Bitcoin miner difficulty. The more and more miners that are actually actively participating in the network and trying to mine Bitcoin, the more the difficulty algorithm goes up. And as you can see right here, it's done nothing but go up because more miners have gotten into the game and trying to get those rewards and process those transactions. But at some point, and we're at an all-time high, folks, May 2nd, 2024. At some point, these miners, they're not all going to be profitable, and they're going to have to shut off the rigs. And what does that mean? When they shut off their mining rigs, then the difficulty algorithm, it starts to adjust, and it adjusts every 2 weeks. So as this starts to go down, or as these miners start to shut off, and it usually takes about 2 weeks to figure it out, then you start to see a little bit of capitulation. So right now, we're still going up. But again, 2-week indicator. Let's see what else we can take a look at. There's another one. Hash ribbons. Oh, no. This one's pretty interesting. It's got the hash rate. So really what it comes down to this, the hash rate, 30-day moving average. Hash ribbons tries to identify periods where Bitcoin miners are in distress. You can also take a look at the indicators of the difficulty. Will miners give up? It's possibly the most powerful Bitcoin buy signal ever. I'm not for sure if that's the truth. But you see as it crosses over, when it gets in the 30-day moving average cross over the 60-day moving average, you can see that it goes into pink, and sometimes price of Bitcoin goes down because they're giving up. But as you can see, and the blue is on top underneath it. But in this one, it's not, it's kind of close, but not as much. So no, I don't think we see capitulation yet. And there's a host of other ones we can take a look at. Let's see. Price follows hash rate is what people say. What's your thoughts on the outflows? This is a great website as far as outflows go. Hey Apollo, take a look at this. And as far as, actually it's not looking for flows. Ooh, May 2nd was big day for a Grayscale. Not surprising. I don't really care so much about this in the short term. I'm actually surprised they haven't had more outflows. But you're taking a look at, oh, this is very good. So IBIT, or BlackRock, in the beginning, let's see if it shows me the beginning. Over time, doesn't show this one. But in the beginning, Grayscale had everything. 600,000, roughly 660,000 Bitcoin, I think. No, 620,000 Bitcoin. And now you can see that BlackRock is almost to overtake Grayscale in the amount of Bitcoin that they actually hold, or the amount that they actually have to custody. So this is just inevitable. People want to get out of Grayscale. They want to sell, or they want to get into something else. But I mean, we've gone from the beginning at 620,000 Bitcoin. Now we're at 834,000 total for all the different institutions that are offering the ETF. So that's a gain of 200,000. I'll take it. So yeah, not surprising. All right. Like everybody, I think that's it. So I think we answered all the questions, and it's Friday. So look, if you like today's video, give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing. Maybe talk about it's time sensitive. That's it for today. Tomorrow there'll be no video, maybe one on Sunday. A lot of things are going on here in Texas, but that's it for today. Thanks much, everybody. I appreciate it, and I'll see you on the next one. Have a great weekend.